All right, so this example is a bit different because we're dealing with cashews and pistachios being mixed together. So the equation is a bit different because it's the amount or the number of pounds you buy times the cost per pound, and that equals the total cost. Just like if you were going to buy bananas or apples, you take however many pounds you buy times the cost per pound, and that equals the total cost. So we're mixing cashews. We're mixing them with pistachios. And then we get mixed nuts. This is going to be, normally they mix them with peanuts to make it a little cheaper, but this is going to be an expensive mix. So in the problem it states that cashews sell for $4.80 per pound, and pistachios sell for $6.40 per pound. Now, if you're mixing them together, the cost is going to be somewhere in between here because it's a mixture of both of them. And it says that you want to create a mixture. It says how many pounds of pistachios. So notice the way it is stated. How many pounds of pistachios? So what do you think I'm going to put near pounds of pistachios or amount of pistachios? Isabel? X. How many pounds of pistachios, so that is my X, should be mixed with 20 pounds of cashews. So they're telling you the pounds of cashews. So this is a little bit different of a structure because instead of telling you the mixture, they're telling you how many cashews. So how many pounds of pistachios, so that's X, should be mixed with 20 pounds of cashews to get a mixture that sells for $5.40 per pound. So our mixture is $5.40. Now I have to fill in the rest of my table. So Denise, what do you think would go right here under the amount of the mixture? 20 plus X, good. Because you have 20 pounds of 20 pounds of cashews plus X pounds of pistachios. So the amounts get added. And then we can use the formula. We can multiply across to find our total cost. So this is 20 times 480. This is going to be, holy guacamole, $96 worth of cashews. DJ?
For this problem, would it matter for the order of X and 20?
Well, it would because they tell you how many cashews. They say 20 pounds of cashews, and they say how many pounds of pistachios. So the pistachios have to go with the X. And this is 6.4X. And now, this is where the structure, this is why they lump together these problems with all the chemistry type problems and the antifreeze problems, is because the structure is the same. The way you calculate this cell is the same. We multiply across to get one side of the equation. And you can multiply that ahead of time, or you could just leave it like that. So multiplying across equals adding down. Same structure. So the key to finding the equation is that what you get from multiplying across equals what you get from adding down. So it's two different ways to calculate the total cost. You can get it by multiplying across or by adding down. Same thing as we did for the other ones. So now you can distribute. Then I can get the 5.4x on the other side. And then at this point, I can subtract that 96 from both sides. And x is 12. So when we look, it says how many pounds of pistachios? Well, that is x. So it's called a mixture problem because you're mixing together two different quantities, the cashews and the pistachios. And it's kind of like a percentage type problem in that you have that it's weighted by the costs instead of by the percents. So that's why the problem needs to have the same structure. All right, other questions? Isaac.
239.
39, sure. Hawaiian punch. They were just talking about Kool-Aid. Are you guys okay to go away from this slide?
Yeah.
All right, so for 39, Hawaiian punch is 10% fruit juice. I think that's false. That might be wishful thinking there.
I think that's what it says on the bottom. Yeah, it's like 9%.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Hawaiian punch is very sweet. So if you're mixing it with water, you're diluting it a little bit. And it looks like that's what they're doing. Hawaiian punch is 10% fruit juice. How much water would you add to 1 gallon of Hawaiian punch to get a drink that is 6% fruit juice? So you have the mix. You have Hawaiian punch. And you have water. And because this has the same structure as our antifreeze problems, it's a little tastier. Do not drink antifreeze, that is very dangerous. It's the amount times the percent equals the amount of juice. And then I look to the problem to see if there's any other information I can fill in. It says Hawaiian punch is 10% fruit juice, so I can fill in 10%. I want my mix to be 6% fruit juice, and then it also says that I want 1 gallon of Hawaiian punch. So I have 1 gallon of Hawaiian punch. And then it says how much water. How much water means amount of water is X. Yes?
So what would the mix be?
Yeah. So with the mix, you're mixing together 1 gallon of punch and X gallons of water. So the mix is X plus 1, or you could write 1 plus X. But picture it, you have a gallon, like you have a big container, you have 1 gallon of fruit punch, 1 gallon, or I'm sorry, X gallons of water. What percent of water is there juice in there? So water has what percent juice? 0. Yeah, turn on that faucet, you're not getting any juice coming out. That would be a little awkward. That'd be strange brushing your teeth if juice came out of your faucet. Okay, so water is 0% juice, so that's why you put 0. So this is where you have to really think about, because they don't give you the percent. Okay, it's the opposite of pure antifreeze. Pure antifreeze was 100% antifreeze. Water is 0% juice. which makes sense, but it's hard for us to write that 0 down. Okay, so multiplying across, this is 1 times 0.1. So this is 0.1 gallons of juice. Water has 0 gallons of juice. Okay, because this is the amount of juice in water. Think of what that cell is. The amount of juice in water is 0. And then the way we get this cell is by multiplying across and adding down. So again, 6% is 0.06. So this is 0.06x plus 0.06, because I have to distribute the 0.06 to the x and to the 1, and that equals 0.1 plus 0, and I get that by adding down. Yes?
With the 0, would you add it to 0.1 or would you add it to 0.6?
Well, when you add 0, it doesn't change the amount, so the net result would be the same, but really you want to add down. So 0.1 plus 0 is just. So then you're going to solve the equation. 0.6x plus 0.6 equals 0.1, because anything plus 0 is just itself. Excuse me. Now we're going to subtract 0.06 from both sides. And this is going to be 0.666 repeating, or just 2/3 of a gallon. Depending on if you want to use fractions or decimals. All right, any other questions?
I had a question about I don't know what I'm supposed to subtract from it. But 37.
Okay. 37?
Yeah.
37.
We
Okay.
didn't do it.
Yes. You said you didn't know where you're supposed to subtract from x.
Like, what was I supposed
Do you want to share your table
to?
for 37?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was,
Okay. Do you want to write it up here? Okay. So Davion is gonna put up the table for 37. While he does that, I'm gonna pass out the review. So if you have 37, you can get started. I am gonna be checking off this assignment, so please keep it on your desk. The one that we're talking about right now.
So that's the first one that I have.
It is a quiz. Okay, so I'm going to read the problem for those playing at home. So this one states Crisco canola oil is 7% saturated fat. Saturated fat is the fat that at room temperature is a solid.
What does that mean?
Crisco blends corn oil that is 14% saturated fat with Crisco canola oil to get Crisco canola and corn oil, which is 11% saturated fat. Wow, this is a lot of fat. How many gallons of corn oil must Crisco mix with 600 gallons of Crisco canola oil to get the mixture? Okay. So it looks like, Davion, you might need a .07 for your Crisco canola.
Not big, and then I didn't know like the explains or
Okay, well, it says Crisco blends corn oil that is 14% saturated fat. How many gallons of corn oil does Crisco mix with 600 gallons of canola oil? So can you just call one canola and one corn, if you wouldn't mind? So canola is the 7%. The corn is the 14%.
oh I did it. Okay.
Yeah.
I read the question. I think I did it.
So canola, you're going to label as .07. And then corn is .14. And then the mix is .11. And you'll label that as the mixture. And then it says how many gallons of corn oil must you mix with 600 gallons of canola oil?
To get how much?
Well, there are 600 gallons of canola.
Yeah.
So you're going to label that as 600. And it says how many gallons of corn. Nope, that's just X. Because if it says how many, you can call that one X. And then what do you think your mix is going to be? Beautiful. Yeah.
I get it.
Oh, don't erase, don't erase. Okay. I think other people might benefit from that. Okay. Does anyone need to see more of 37?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes.
Shall I go all the way through it?
All right. So, Brendan, what would you do next?
So, let's see, what do we have so far? So we have the amount, and then we have, we still need to find percentages, right? Oh, our percentages is right there. Okay. So we need the amount of oil.
Yep. Okay. So,
I would do, 14x,
so 0.14x.
and then for the next one it'd be, let's see, what's the one on the left, like the far left, what is it then?
600.
Oh, 600, okay. So then I do, I don't know what that comes out to, but you multiply that.
I think it's 42.
What? 600 times?
0.07.
Yeah.
All right. Logan, what would you do next now that you did this?
We'll just add it all to the bottom.
Yeah. So what sort of things would we write in the bottom?
We put 14x plus 42. What actually equals? Equals. I don't. Do you actually write what it equals or?
Yep. And then what does it equal? How do you find the other side of the equation?
I don't know what to do.
So adding down is how you find one side, and the other side, yep,
How do you? Would you choose .11x or would you choose 2x?
11x, and then
Oh, 600.
plus, and then you have to do 600 times 0.11.
I get 66.
Okay, so that's gonna be that way all the time, that you're multiplying across to get one side of the equation, adding down to get the other side of the equation.
Right.
So you're essentially calculating the amount of oil in two different ways. Now I'm gonna solve for x. The 800 gallons,
Yeah.